I never planned to destroy my wife's boss. But when I discovered their affair, I also uncovered something that would bring down their entire corporate empire. Sometimes revenge isn't about what you do. It's about what you find. The first red flag wasn't the late nights. It wasn't the business trips. It wasn't even the new designer clothes. It was a simple accounting error. See, my wife, Sarah, never was good with numbers. That's why I handled our finances. So when I noticed a charge for a $700 dinner at LeBlanc on a Tuesday night, well, let's just say it caught my attention. Working late again? I asked that evening, watching her pack her laptop. Big merger coming up, she said, not meeting my eyes. Jason needs all hands on deck. Jason Morrison, Chief Executive Officer of Rising Tech Solutions, her boss for the past 3 years. And according to the credit card statement in my hand, her dinner companion every Tuesday night for the past 6 months. Here's the thing about being a CFO. You learn to spot patterns. And once I started looking, the patterns were everywhere. Hotel charges disguised as conference fees, late-night Uber, rides to his penthouse, expensive gifts written off as client relations. But this story isn't about catching them. It's about what I found when I started digging into Rising Tech's finances. And trust me, the affair was just the tip of the iceberg. Being CFO of their biggest competitor gave me access to industry reports most people never see. Rising Tech's numbers didn't add up. Their growth was too perfect, too clean. I started digging deeper. Every Wednesday morning after their dinner meetings, Jason would announce another successful acquisition. Stock prices would soar. Investors would celebrate. But I noticed something else. Small tech companies disappearing into Rising Tech's portfolio, their patents vanishing, their founders mysteriously silent. Then I found the connection. Sarah wasn't just having an affair with Jason. She was helping him target companies for hostile takeovers. Her late nights were spent gathering intel on vulnerable tech startups. But here's what they didn't know. I had access to the one thing they couldn't hide. As CFO of CompTech Industries, I could see the aftermath of Rising Tech's acquisitions. The pattern was brutal. Buy struggling companies, strip their patents, sell off assets, leave employees jobless. Think corporate takeovers are just business? Wait until you hear what happened to the last founder who tried to fight back. One founder caught my attention. David Chen, brilliant programmer, disappeared after Rising Tech acquired his AI startup. Official story, early retirement at 32. But I found something in the merger documents. A clause buried in legal jargon, complete silence about operational methods. I created a spreadsheet. 7 acquired companies, 7 disappeared founders, 7 revolutionary patents, all now owned by Rising Tech. Then I found the emails. Sarah wasn't just gathering intel, she was blackmailing these founders. And Jason, he was orchestrating something much bigger. "Honey, you seem distracted lately," Sarah said one night, touching my shoulder. "Everything okay at CompTech?" That's when I realized they were targeting my company next, and Sarah was gathering intel on me. I started leaving false documents in my home office, fake financial reports, manufactured vulnerabilities, a trail of breadcrumbs leading exactly where I wanted them to go. What happens when you turn the tables on a corporate predator? Keep watching, because karma doesn't just knock. Sometimes it crashes the entire stock market. I let Sarah find documents suggesting CompTech was on the verge of bankruptcy. She took the bait perfectly. Within hours, she was having a late dinner with Jason. But here's what they didn't know. Every confidential document she found was part of my plan. While they plotted CompTech's takeover, I was building a case, hidden recordings of their dinner meetings, copies of blackmail letters to former founders, offshore account numbers, and most importantly, David Chen's location. Turns out David wasn't retired. He was in hiding, gathering evidence. When I reached out, he had one question: "Are you ready to take them down?" I set up a meeting with Rising Tech's board, claiming I wanted to discuss a friendly merger. Sarah nearly choked on her coffee when I mentioned it. "You're meeting with Jason?" "Of course," I smiled. "It's just business, right?" Watch how a cheating wife's smug smile disappears when she realizes her husband isn't as clueless as she thought. Rising Tech's boardroom, 44th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Jason sat at the head of the table, Sarah by his side, both wearing matching smirks. "Let's talk about the merger," Jason began. "Let's talk about David Chen instead," I replied. The smirks vanished. I opened my laptop, started the presentation. No. Slide 1, David Chen's evidence. Slide 2, photos of other retired founders. Slide 3, offshore account transactions. Slide 4, Sarah and Jason's hotel receipts. "This isn't about CompTech," I said. "This is about 7 stolen companies, 6 ruined lives, and 1 massive fraud." But Jason just laughed. "You really think you can prove any of this?" That's when the boardroom door opened. In walked David Chen. 3 other founders, 2 FBI agents, and Rising Tech's largest shareholder, Sarah, tried to delete files from her phone. Too late. Everything was already backed up. "The funny thing about corporate espionage," I said, "is that it leaves a trail. Especially when your wife uses your home Wi-Fi to send confidential documents. Think this is the end? Wait until you see who else was involved in this scheme." The largest shareholder, Mr. Thompson, spoke first. "I've been tracking unusual activities for months. Just needed someone on the inside to confirm it." Jason's face went from smug to ashen in seconds. Sarah tried another tactic. "Honey, I can explain." "Explain what?" I asked. "The affair, or the fact that you helped destroy 7 families for profit?" David Chen stepped forward, opened his laptop. Video recordings of threats made to founders' bank transfers to shell companies, emails about removing obstacles, and something no one expected: the patents weren't the real target. David revealed. They were after something bigger. "Show them." I pulled up the final document, Rising Tech's secret project. They weren't just stealing companies. They were building something illegal. The stolen patents combined created an AI system for manipulating stock markets, untraceable cryptocurrency transactions, automated blackmail operations. Every acquisition, I explained, was just a piece of the puzzle. The next part? That's where things get interesting, because sometimes karma doesn't just strike once. As the FBI moved in, Jason made one last desperate play. "Sarah," he called out, "tell them about CompTech's insider trading." She looked at him, then at me, finally understanding. There was no insider trading. Every document she'd stolen and passed to him was fake. I'd played them both. Within hours, Rising Tech stock plummeted 70%, 7 arrest warrants issued, $2.3 billion in assets frozen. And Sarah? She finally stopped lying. "There's one more thing," David Chen said, pulling out his phone. "Show them the video." The boardroom screen lit up with footage from Jason's private office. Sarah was there, but she wasn't just passing documents. She was warning the last target company, trying to stop the takeover. She grew a conscience, I said. Too little, too late. Jason lunged for the stairs. The FBI caught him at the elevator, but not before he shouted something that changed everything. "It wasn't my plan. Ask Thompson, who really runs Rising Tech." Think you know who the real villain is? The truth will make you question everything about corporate America. Thompson wasn't just the largest shareholder. He was the architect. Rising Tech was just one piece of his empire. An empire built on stolen innovations and broken lives. Why do you think no one investigated sooner? He smiled as FBI agents clicked handcuffs around his wrists. I owned the investigators. The final tally shocked everyone. 23 companies destroyed $4.7 billion. Stolen 1,200 employees left jobless. And one global conspiracy exposed. Sarah's confession changed everything. I started gathering evidence 6 months ago, but I needed someone they wouldn't suspect, someone with access. She looked at me. I knew you'd figure it out. You always follow the money. Her affair with Jason, staged for Thompson's surveillance, the hotel meetings, recording evidence. She'd played the villain to catch the real monsters. But here's the thing about playing with fire. Someone always gets burned. Our marriage didn't survive. Some betrayals, even for the right reasons, cut too deep. But we did manage one last thing together, taking down a criminal empire. Want to know how to spot corporate predators before they strike? Hit subscribe. Next week's video might save your company. 1 year later, the dust has settled. Thompson, serving 30 years. Jason, turned state's evidence. 15 years, Rising Tech, dissolved and assets returned. The founders, rebuilding their companies. Sarah, she works for the SEC now, hunting corporate predators. Irony has a sense of humor. The Thompson Act, passed Congress. Stricter oversight on tech acquisitions, protection for whistleblowers, mandatory transparency in patent transfers, new anti-blackmail provisions. David Chen's AI company, thriving. He hired back every employee who lost their jobs. Last week I received a package. Inside, a USB drive from Sarah with one file. Everything I couldn't tell you. Watch when you're ready. I haven't opened it yet. Some truths you need to prepare for. They say revenge is best served cold. But this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. The affair that never was. The betrayal that was something else. A corporate empire built on lies, brought down by truth. I still follow the money. It's what I do. But now I look closer at the perfect numbers, the clean acquisitions, the too-good-to-be-true deals. Because sometimes the biggest lies hide in plain sight. And sometimes, karma needs a little help with the accounting. They say every story has 3 sides. Yours, mine, and the truth. But in corporate America, the truth is just another asset to be acquired, leveraged, and sold to the highest bidder. Unless someone decides to give it away for free. That USB drive from Sarah, I finally watched it yesterday. But that's another story. One that makes this look like a warm-up act. Because sometimes the biggest payback isn't what you do to others. It's what you learn about yourself. The truth about power isn't who has it. It's who has the courage to expose it.